أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Dear friends, welcome to Idea Foundation Forum. In today's lecture 255, we will discuss Death, the gateway to a larger life. Death, the gateway to a larger life. It is 15th issue of the Quran and modern sciences related to astrophysics. In the previous lecture, we focused on Ayat 95 of Surah Al-An'am, which has revealed an important information as precursor of scientific discoveries of nuclear fusion for nucleosynthesis, nuclear fission, and photosynthesis. It was noticed that a death may not be an end, rather it may be beginning of a new life. Ayat 27 of Surah Al-Imran that we will discuss shortly further supports the understanding that splitting or demise and recombination of tiny atoms caused building of the grand universe and its persistent expansion. Splitting and recombination or fission and fusion of atoms or subatomic particles establish nucleosynthesis for creation, growth, multiplication, demise, and collapse of the elements or constituents of the universe. When these phenomena came to the earth, they could establish life as well through photosynthesis. What is photosynthesis? It's a process through which non-living matters lose their identity to germinate substances necessary for the growth of plants. These plants, along with certain non-living matters, sacrifice their being, their existence, to let animal and human life sustain on the earth. Thus, growth of the universe and life from a single atom to the current enormity, current size, so big size, tells the divine practice of death for larger life. How death knell of some atoms is harbinger of birth of new elements that caused emergence of the universe, stars and planets, and empowered the sun with energy and light to let the life happen and sustain on the earth through photosynthesis, we will discuss in our sitting today. So, dear friends, in the context of physics, chemistry, and biology, the Quran informed us that everything was initially created as a single entity, then all of them were shaped into their respective pairs for progression of their posterities through a unique procreation system for each of them. Huge populations of macroscopic objects as well as microscopic living or non-living objects or anything made of matter have the humble singular origin and pair-based procreation system. Ayat 36 of Surah Yasin reveals miraculous information about 1500 years ago that living and non-living things, both living and non-living things, were created in pairs, while several of them were unknown to mankind by then when Quran was revealed. Note the words of the ayat. Exalted is He who created all pairs from what the earth grows, and from themselves, and from what which they do not know, from about the people who are not aware about these, pairs. This fact is witnessed by the Big Bang nucleosynthesis. The universe initially emerged with the hydrogen atom having a nucleus containing only one positively charged proton revolved around by a negatively charged electron, one proton and one electron. By submerging their respective identities, by sacrificing their respective identities, these subatomic pairs gave birth to helium, the second element, most abundant element. Now, perpetual continuation of such fission or splitting and fusion or recombination of the positive and negative subatomic particles let the universe grow in volume and variety to the present extent. By now, parental pair of hydrogen and helium atoms has diversified into 112 elements representing chemistry of the whole universe. From one element, hydrogen, to 112 elements representing the total chemistry of the universe. Similarly, splitting and recombination of certain elements caused progression of plants through photosynthesis. Likewise, when a drop of spilt out sperm of man is mixed with the tiniest ovum of his female partner, a system of procreation sets in for prolongation of human posterity. In this context, some Quranic references are shown on the screen. Please study them to know how this system, started from single entity, then in pair, then, prolongation of their posterities. Dear friends, meaning of Ayat 36 of Surah Yasin, we quoted earlier, need to be focused together by joining with the secrets of the words of Ayat 95 of Surah Al-An'am, Ayat 27 of Surah Al-Imran, Ayat 5 of Surah Al-Jasiyah, and Ayat 2 of Surah Saba that give the Quranic vision of nucleosynthesis, photosynthesis, and carbon, hydrogen, nitrogen, oxygen, winds, and hydrocycles. These all tell the story of splitting of atoms and recombination of subatoms in building new matters and substances. These are the processes through which the nature has set the universe and life to grow and sustain. These scientific discoveries witness the Quranic revelations how death is not the end, rather a harbinger, news of the larger life. Note the revealing words of these verses. Ayat 95 of Surah Al-An'am says, "Indeed, Allah is the splitter of grain and date seeds. He brings the living out of the dead and brings the dead out of the living. That is Allah. So how are you deluded?" Ayat 27 of Surah Al-Imran says, "You cause the night to enter the day, and you cause the day to enter the night, and you bring the living out of the dead, and you bring the dead out of the living, and you give provision to whom you will, without account, without any, limitations." Ayat 5 of Surah Al-Jasiyah says, and in the alternation of night and day, and in what Allah sends down from the sky of provisions and gives life thereby to the earth after its lifelessness, and in His directing, Allah's directing of the winds are signs for a people who reason. Ayat 2 of Surah Saba reveals about ascending and descending of matter from the heaven that indicates various recycling systems and creation of new stars and collapsing of old ones. Such collapsing of stars may be an indication of black holes or creation of a new universe elsewhere beyond the vision of the man living in this universe or at this land. Note the words of ayat. Allah knows what penetrates into the earth and what emerges from it and what descends from the heaven and what ascends therein. And He is the merciful, the forgiving. Dear friends, with the perspective of these verses, the scientific discoveries in this area become of great interest for analytical readers of the Quran. Center of the sun, like other stars, is millions of degrees hot, where hydrogen atoms submerge or lose their identity to form helium atoms, empowering the sun with energy and light to let the universe grow and life to exist. This is the divine order. Order, created by Allah Almighty. It is how death of some atoms broaden the spectrum of creation. Same energy and light, when come to the earth, they together with carbon, nitrogen and oxygen cycles cause photosynthesis to happen. In photosynthesis, sunlight provides the energy that causes a chemical reaction to split water into hydrogen and oxygen, and carbon dioxide into oxygen and carbon are energy-rich carbohydrates to fuel the plant's metabolism for plant's life. Then plants give away their hard-earned carbon and oxygen to promote a higher and more energetic animal and human life. So, my dear friends, in our discussion made so far, we find that truth of the Quranic information revealed about 1500 years ago has been witnessed by the current scientific discoveries on life, death, then life interplay through the processes of nucleosynthesis, photosynthesis, human procreative system, and carbon, hydrogen, nitrogen, oxygen, winds, and hydro cycles. Such symmetry of information from the two sources, from Quran and from science, prompts to invite the non-believing friends, especially those who have the scientific mindset, to give serious thought on two important points. Firstly, truth of the Quranic information revealed centuries ago have now been proved true by the current scientific discoveries. Thus, the Quran needs to be appreciated as a source of divine guidance and enlightenment for future scientific pursuits. Secondly, since science has found life, death, and life as a usual interplay, not some extraordinary, very usual interplay of matter through the processes of nucleosynthesis, photosynthesis, and various divine cycling systems, this fact may not be denied as a reality in future too. Historically, mind it, very important, historically science has been undermining the Qur'anic philosophy of life after the death, which has been mentioned in the Quran. In this context, two ayat are quoted here. Ayat 57 of Surah Ghafir says, "The creation of the heavens and earth is greater than the creation of mankind?" It's a question. Allah asks from the non-believers. The creation of the heavens and earth is greater than the creation of mankind, but most of the people don't know. It's a question. And it's a question from our brothers who are dealing with the science. Likewise, Ayat 15 of Surah Kahf says, "Did we fail in the first creation?" It's a question. Question from all those who doubt the creative power of Allah Almighty. Allah asks, did we fail in the first creation? But they are in confusion over a new creation. They are means the people who don't believe. Meaning by Allah who can create once, He can create again and again and again. So my dear friends, with this we conclude our discussion under lecture 255. Please subscribe Idea Foundation YouTube channel to watch videos of previous lectures and join us for the noble cause. Thank you friends for participation. Allah Hafiz.